Can I get a motion to return to open session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Carla.
Aye.
Joe.
Yes, here.
Lizzie.
Yes.
Renee. Corey. Anna. Brianna.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Oh, good. Okay, sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay, welcome everyone to the Woodland Community Consolidated School Board meeting for February 23rd, 2023. The meeting will now come to order.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice.
Okay. Let me try the other one.
Roll call vote,
Carla.
here.
Joe.
Here.
Lizzie.
Here.
Renee.
Hello?
Oh, hi, Anna. We're going into open session now?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to try to get a hold of Miss Seaman. So hang on one second.
Okay. We have a quorum.
We do have to.
We're calling in a couple of our board members. One has a family emergency and the other had a work obligation, so that's the phone call. So we appreciate your patience with that. We do have a quorum. So once we get them on the phone, we'll proceed with the agenda. And just for you young people here, in case you wonder what a quorum is the number of board members that must be present for us to conduct
Hi, thanks
business.
for calling. The person you're
On
trying to
your
reach
behalf.
isn't available right now, but you can leave a message.
So we have 7 board
Anna,
members.
are you still there?
Nope, you're on, she's, yeah, there
Anna,
you
you
go.
still there?
Yes.
All right, awesome.
So we have 7 board members, so a quorum is 4. So, so we need at least 4 board members present in order to do business. Then the other board members can be on the phone if they have a work obligation or if there's an emergency or an illness. So we'll go ahead and proceed as we currently have Anna on the phone, and then we'll work to get Renee on
Okay.
later. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I think we have a couple of students coming forward.
We've got our spelling bee folks from intermediate and middle. You want to come on up?
Do you want to introduce them, Dr. Maychek?
I think the sponsors are here, so please come on
Yeah,
up.
come on up, please. Spelling Bee champions.
We have certificates for you.
We have a microphone for them. You have to come and face the flag.
Hang on one second. Are there adults with these people or just us?
We have more certificates than we have students. So let me get our spelling. Okay. And I apologize because I don't know you all very well. Farhan? Yeah.
Oh,
Congratulations to you.
Tim's behind you.
Got it. Edav? Congratulations to you. Ayana? Yes, you are. Okay. And Rohan. Rohan was the winner of the 5th grade, so congratulations to you. Are there middle school students? That's a champion. Yeah. William Hummel? No?
Well, congratulations.
And Teju? Is Teju here? Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. Okay, so before we do the pledge for the 5th grade, do you remember your winning word?
No.
How about you for 8th grade?
Doppelganger.
Ooh, doppelganger. Congratulations. That's a tough one. Yep. Okay, can I quiz you right now?
Doppelganger.
Congratulations. Okay, so what will happen is we're going to put the microphone here, and then you're going to come up, And you're all going to start us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We will all join in. Is that okay? So come on up. And I can we'll put this here.
You have to say it loud. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Okay. Next up, we have approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. Discussion? Roll call vote.
Joe,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Renee, Tori, Anna,
Yes.
Brianna,
Yes.
Carla.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Next up, we have the superintendent's report, and it looks like you have a pretty full agenda, Dr. Maychek, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yes, we do. All good stuff. Thank you, Dr. Little, and welcome everyone. It is my pleasure to have Mayor Hood with us. So Mayor Hood has been visiting each of the Gurnee school districts to talk a little bit about all the things going on within the village. And the reciprocity is that Mayor Hood has invited the superintendents of the 3 Gurnee school districts to visit the Village Hall and share a presentation at one of their board meetings. So I'm looking forward to that visit as well. But right now, it's my pleasure to introduce the Gurnee Mayor, Mr. Tom Hood.
Hello.
Thank you. Guess it's on, right? All right, so it's really my pleasure to come to speak at Woodland. From the Village of Gurnee's perspective, it's really an opportunity for us. See, I'm emptying towards. Which way do I aim here?
Well, you present to the board.
Oh, okay. I'll do this then. You guys can look at my back. How about that? So, yeah. Well, in any event, just Woodland's really important to me. I started first grade at Woodland 1974, so it's been a little while. My mom actually was in she says the first graduating class. I'm not sure about that. She was actually in the one-room schoolhouse that was located at Washington and Hunt Club Road, right where the BP is. There was a one-room schoolhouse there that she attended until she came to Woodland. So I have a long history with Woodland, and Woodland has really served me well. For the school board, I would just say I just commend you on volunteering your time and taking the opportunity, because it makes a huge, huge difference. Made a big difference in my life for the education that I received here at Woodland, and I'm sure it's happened the same for each of the kids that attend here at Woodland. And even before I get into my slides, just from the village's perspective, if it's not the first thing, it's at the very top of the list in terms of what residents think is important in terms of why do they come to live in Gurnee, and it's the school district. And Woodland is front and center as far as that's concerned. So if our school district is poor, then our residents aren't going to come, and that's so important to us as a village. So thank you again.
So Mayor Hood, before you go further, to make you feel a little bit more comfortable, I think if you push your podium over there, then you will be able to face the board and the audience.
Thank you.
It's okay. Yeah, you can kind of move it toward the board table. Yeah, that way you can look, see both ways.
I
Is
got
that
it.
better? You feel
That
better?
is. Thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
Carol. So, just to go through a little bit about myself, I'm old enough now to have a granddaughter, so she's really important to me. Just for my own personal priorities, obviously, just God, family, job, in that order. And I find that when I follow that order, things go well for me, and I think go well for the village as well. I've had an opportunity to be a part of the village for a long time. I grew up in Gurnee, obviously. and as part of being the Zoning Board of Appeals and a village trustee. And I've just been a mayor for like a year and a half. And I do that part-time. I'm a full-time lawyer, and I practice with my son here in Gurnee. So the village staff really operates the village. The day-to-day is done by, and I'll have a few slides about that, is done by Pat Mutz, who's the village administrator. And then in each of the departments, whether it's the fire department or police department or public works, each of them have village heads or different department heads that are responsible for their areas. They report ultimately to me, but at the end of the day, they do a great job, and very few things make it to my desk. So Gurnee is really well run that way. Let's see. So as far as leadership, which I was heading down, that's the list of village staff. The trustees, currently Jeannie Balmus, Greg Garner, Quinn O'Brien, Karen Thorstensen, Cheryl Ross, Kevin Woodside. I've just had a really good run with them when I was on the board as a trustee before, and now it's really a cohesive group. We have certainly our own different opinions about how things are done, but at the end of the day, I think I was just telling somebody when I came in, it's like coming in to see friends when we meet together, and yet we have a big responsibility in terms of leading the village. So I really appreciate their leadership and just the opportunity to work alongside with them. Our meetings are 3 times a month, and we have a really good interaction, like I said, with staff. Staff does a good job, and a lot of the things we handle behind the scenes, which we appreciate, and then ultimately sometimes people think it seems a little too smooth up there, but sometimes there's some things that are done behind the scenes that really need to be hashed out, but ultimately it's not about throwing our staff under the bus in public. It's just that our staff is that awesome. As I stand here today, there isn't really a member of staff that I'd say I really wish wasn't there. They all do a great job. So just some of the accomplishments that have occurred over time while I've been both a trustee and as mayor. Things that are important to me, and the top of the list again is strengthening the community and school safety. And one of those things is really with SROs. You can see actually your one and only officer, Kelly Hansen, which I think she's back there. There she is. She's a new SRO to this school year, August, right? Yep. Was that when you started? So Kelly had another life also with seniors, so she seems to have covered both ends of the spectrum, and she refuses to give the seniors up. So that's good for her. She's been just a great support to me, and as well as just to the village, to be a great representative, and I'm really glad she's here at Woodland. Seniors are important to me as well. It's just we have a number of assisted living facilities in town, and generally my thought process on that is oftentimes seniors are ignored, especially when they make it into assisted living facilities. It's more like warehousing in some cases, but our assisted living facilities in town do a really good job with that. And another officer, Officer Sean, who's here too, as well, is really instrumental. Oh, she's in the hallway. So she does a great job with processing, even like what this picture is about, is that we go around and distribute Valentines. And actually, just recently, I think this year, we had 5,000 Valentines that came from students here at Woodland and other places, which we're really proud of, and were distributed to all of these people that are in these assisted living facilities. So it was something that we're proud to see have happen. Also, there's the Gurnee Youth Leadership Initiative that I began at Warren High School. Just an awesome group of about 20 students, 25 students that just had some great ideas about what they wanted to do with the mentorship program. And I had some little ideas about what to do, and they came to me and they just took it over, and I'm kind of like an afterthought for them now, which is really nice to see, is that they had the initiative to do just that, leadership. Environmental Sustainability Committee, again, something that I began a number of years ago, something that we've invested in terms of, we just had our first Green Award Monday night, and at that meeting it was Fast Lube is a business in town that reuses all the old oil that comes out of their cars that they remove from the cars that come visit them, and they reuse it to heat their building. And they have many other things that they do as far as servicing electrical vehicles and things like that, that really was something that we wanted to just highlight for us. And The committee itself does other things like styrofoam recycling and electronic recycling, and really encouraging residents to take an active role in that. It's like it's one thing for the village to do that, but it's a whole other thing for 30,000 other people too. Again, looking to expand our reach with social media. I think that's true with everybody. Grand openings, Tom's Tours. Maybe you've seen I try to reach out to the residents for having coffees and hot dogs with the mayor, those kind of things, beer with the mayor, any way I can think of. It just is a little bit harder sometimes for people to come to my office and say it in a very formal setting, but it's a lot easier to come talk to me when I'm at O'Toole's or coming to me at a hot dog place or something like that. So as those come out, I just really encourage you to come and see me. It's a good opportunity for me to hear your thoughts. And whether it's positive things or things that they like to see corrected, I really like to see that happen. Again, this is our SROs, and we currently have 4 of them as they go to each of our districts, and Warren has 2 of them. Something, again, that has a high priority to me, something that I never want to be in a situation where I would then go back and say, you know what, I really wish we would have covered that in a different way and our students weren't safe. So we have a high level of investment in that, and our police officers do a great job of initiating, doing active shooter drills. I'm sure you're all aware of those things that happen, and interacting with, actually, their superintendent does a great job with us in terms of checking out to make sure that we've done everything we can, whether it's access to the schools or doing things like that, that we can partner with you. And again, this is your building, these are your students. And we respect that, and we want to honor your choices that you make, and we want to be able to share back and forth ways in which we can best protect the students and work best with you. So there's some other things that we do as far as safety education and initiatives that we take on. As you might know, we recently have had an addition of 2 new canines. We had, believe it or not, canines retire with their officers, so they retired to Arizona. They picked a nice place to retire to, right? So dogs even know where to go. And so we have 2 new dogs, and it just is, it's a great outreach for us, and they do a great job for protecting our businesses and also just around town. This was the Youth Leadership Initiative that I was talking about a little bit earlier. These are some of the students that are part of that. Again, their purpose is really wanting to connect students in a mentorship way with businesses in town. And as they develop, there's even more things that they have found themselves getting into. And again, it's just a stellar group of people that talk about, as they discuss the education, the areas that they're looking at or applying for colleges. It's just amazing, well beyond when I was in high school. It's just how things have developed so far, and that's probably true for grade school. I can't imagine, getting, I don't know at what grade you get your math seems so advanced, those type of things. And the same with these students, that they seem a lot like college students to me instead of high school students. Let's see. So this goes back to our environmental sustainability. Again, some of the things that we have accomplished, things that we're proud of. This is our 25th year as a Tree City USA community. We've been involved with the solar. So are you guys, obviously. You did a great job with that. And for us, that is a village, we received a bronze award for that. And it's still something we're working on to expand, as that's something that's important to not only the village, but statewide and countrywide. We're also working with the Greenest Region Compact Review, which is something the state of Illinois sponsors, that assists us in looking at different ways in which for us to be more sustainable and to be more involved with environmental issues. And again, it's for us, this committee, and for me, has really allowed me to be more proactive. Oftentimes, for those of you that can remember the Stop ETO, ETO issues, I felt more that we were reactive to that. And in some ways, it was unavoidable. I think everybody that I knew anyway, ETO wasn't on the map. And for us, we've had to play catch-up in terms of learning what that was all about and working with a business in town that has emissions for ETO. So we didn't want to be in that position best we can, so having this committee allows us to be more proactive with our businesses as they come into town, and also for the businesses that are there. One of the ways in which we have a contact with businesses in town is that the fire department on a regular basis, usually annually, will visit each business and go through various fire issues to examine to see that everything's being run properly. And again, that's important to us because it's done proactively. It's not showing up at a business when it's on fire. I mean, that can happen, obviously, but we'd like to be there first. And if we can avoid those kind of issues, it's just like with the schools or anywhere else, is that the more proactive we can be, the better off it is for us. Economic development, it's really an important item for us. As you might know, the Village of Gurnee does not assess a real estate tax. We don't, as many villages around the state. We're one of the few, we're actually the top 3% that do not assess a real estate tax or a utility tax. So therefore, we're heavily reliant upon businesses in town to generate sales tax. So Gurnee Mills, Great Wolf, and Six Flags are, as we call the big three, that generated the majority of our real estate tax, or not real estate tax, but our sales tax. And so for us, we have to really keep our eye on the ball. In terms of looking at our budget, it's not something we can guarantee a certain amount of money coming in. We know or project what comes in, but if a business fails or if a business has a hard time, like during COVID, Six Flags was closed for a 1-year period of time, and that had a significant impact on our budget. So from our perspective, a couple of things that we do is that we carry a pretty high reserve, and we also work heavily on attracting new business and retaining business. So what you'll see, one of the things I do is go out into the marketplace and we do what I'd say retention or even do grand openings or attend a business. It's called Tom's Tours, and gives me an opportunity to visit business owners and see what kind of business they do. And it's really a pleasure to see just some really proud business owners in terms of their success that they've had and how much they like the Village of Gurnee. Also, as a direct impact on the schools, the EAV, how that gets contributed so that the amount of tax dollars that come into the schools is important. So we keep an eye on that so that we continue to generate new business, attract new business to town so that they can generate more dollars for our partners. Again, this is just some of the new businesses that have come into town in the most recent future, recent past, and then also in the future, some of the things that we're looking at. Something we're really proud of that's worked out well is the CLC Advanced Technology Center. As some of you might know, Cooper's Hawk is right attached to that. That was a really fortuitous development. As it worked out, CLC bought the entire site, and then they sold off an outlot to Cooper's Hawk, and that was really a nice addition in both ways. It's CLC, if any of you have been in there, it's just an awesome place for not your traditional types of education, but doing things like manufacturing and other things that teach students in some other ways other than just traditional book learning. And other things on the list, some people are Crumble Cookie, Lou Malnati's, Hobby Lobby. I'm not sure why Toys R Us are on there. It's Toys R Us we're looking to redevelop. So then, just to take a look at some numbers, sometimes people ask some of the questions, and some are surprising. Is that the number of residents in Gurnee is a little less than 31,000 people, and then you'll see 23 million visitors annually, and that really is what makes a difference for us in terms of why is it that we have a larger police department? Why is our fire department larger than maybe a 30,000 resident community would normally be? So those are the things that drive us. 1,238 licensed businesses. That's quite a few in town. And then you can just see what, in terms of what our certificates of occupancy and new remodels are. So that this in 22 was up. And actually during COVID wasn't as negative for us as it was for you guys, unfortunately, right? So it's just certainly the education portion took a bigger hit than our business did in town. Just administration, just to go over a couple of things, is that going through, we just built Fire Station 3 and we're able to pay off that debt almost immediately. And there's some other initiatives that are coming. 911 is being consolidated with some other communities and is going to actually operate in Libertyville. We currently have our own 911 center in town, and there's an opportunity for us to be able to consolidate, and Lake County's doing a great job of leading that charge. Let's see, for community development, there's some things that we've done as well, probably not quite as interesting. Largest surf, depends on who you are, I suppose. It's like Gurnee commits itself to resurfacing at least 6 or 7 miles of roadway. You'll find in other towns that maybe the roadway is not as good as ours. We actually have a company that comes through and evaluates the roads and puts in order the roads that we should do first based on their condition. And we try to work on that throughout the community so that whether it's water and sewer, whether it's the roadways, things that maybe aren't so glamorous, yet is important from the village perspective that those things are done. And probably the same thing in terms of just having the police department show up on time, be well trained, have all the equipment, same with the fire department. Those are all things like with you, that's just expected of us to do. So it's been a good, we just have a good solid village from that perspective. And each department, probably the most challenged department, let's see if I have, hold on. Public Works is not the most challenged department, but I was thinking it was police was next. But in any event, we have Public Works, which is strong. And again, your contact with them is through plowing the streets and manning the sewer and water, making sure that those are accurate, that they function the way they're supposed to. Fire department's a popular thing. You'll see that in September we come out and the police department, the fire department, and Public Works all come out to the neighborhoods in town and gives an opportunity for the children to be able to do things just like that. Not quite like that, but there'll be a hose on the ground and they'll be able to see the pressure and be able to squirt the hose and be able to sit in fire trucks and the back of ambulances. Who knows why they want to sit in the back of an ambulance, right? So. But in any event, it's a good way for our people on staff to be able to meet the residents and to show them what they do. Again, it's coming to a park near you. I think this will be our 3rd year that we're doing that, 3rd or 4th year. The police department. So probably out of all the departments, this has been the most stressed in the last couple years because of just the climate in which we live. We've had a number of retirements and things where we've been very active in the hiring area. So over the last 18 months, we've hired at least over 20 new police officers. So there's a lot of heavy training going on. They've been excellent candidates. We've had some laterals that have come our way as well. Gurney's a place to go when you're an employee, and that's not any different than a police officer. We have we're a diverse department. I think we have 10 ladies, is that right, Kelly? Kelly's going to count them in her head, right? Oh. There you go. And years ago we had none, so I mean it's really been, it's a good process, and they're rising through the ranks of leadership as well. So, but again, that's for us, it's been a challenge just because the process in which we live, all the police departments are going through the same thing where doing the hiring and trying to get people in a spot where they can be successful. And yet in Gurnee, I've found that the residents to be very encouraging and to be, in general, been kind and interactive. I hear people saying things like, thank you for your service. And that's really what the police department's about. It's customer service. Certainly they have to catch the bad guys sometimes, but it's really more about customer service. And I think what you'll find from Kelly and the other SROs, it's about building relationships with students and with teachers and with administrators so that they can know that there are good police officers out there. So it's a good opportunity for them. So these are a lot of things that the police department does. They're involved in many, many things. They're involved heavily in the village, everything from, we've talked about the security portion, neighborhood watch, child safety, seat inspection, everything that you can imagine. So they do a really good job about reaching into the community. And oftentimes they're the first face that people see when a bad thing happens in their life. And that's true with the fire department. And I've always told them it's like this is the first time you're going to come meet these residents and they're going to be in a bad spot. So we really appreciate the dedication that our employees carry into each of these situations. So I just really appreciate your time. I don't want to to take up too much of your time for your board meeting, but certainly if someone has a question for me, I'd be happy to answer it. It's an honor for me, like I said, to be a mayor of the village of Gurnee, and especially in the town that I grew up in. And I know that you guys are investing in a place where you live, and I'm doing the same thing. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Are there any questions, board members? Do you want to take one or two questions from the audience?
I will.
Any questions, community? Okay, well, I would just say I appreciate all the work that you guys put into serving us at the village level, and especially appreciate lately and you've always done a great job with the snow removal. So thank you very much for that. I know that's
It's a big job sometimes.
big,
but
yeah. And you know what? I think Gurnee clears the roads better than any other municipality that I know of. Because I live right off of Grand Avenue. It'll take a long time for the state to clear Grand Avenue versus when Public Works comes
I
through.
appreciate you know the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes that's hard because it's like, whose road is that, right? State, county, it's just, right, village, it's like it's all split up. So I appreciate you know that.
Yeah.
So Mayor, I'm just saying that you've cost us 2 snow days with how well you do your job. So I know kids are so thrilled that you're so good at it, but I appreciate
I felt the
it.
daggers and the kids in their back, so yeah.
So-
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank
Great
you.
to see
Great
you.
job.
I'm gonna try Renee again. I just tried my phone.
Then we want to move forward, still with your report, sir.
Yes.
I apologize.
Hi, Miss Amon. This is Bob Machek. You're in open session right now.
Thank you. How are you guys?
We want to call you back and put you on speaker if that's okay. Great.
Oh, sure. All right. I will do that.
Okay.
Now that I know.
Then you have the wheelchair accessible.
Yes,
table.
sir. Alex. Yep.
Oh, there they are. Okay. Hi. Oh, just a minute. He'll introduce you.
Hello?
Hi, Miss Amon. I'm going to put you on conference call because Miss Chang Yen is on the other line. So give me 1 second. Okay. Renee, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. And Anna, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Hey.
We're good.
So I will introduce Alex.
Okay.
So Eagle Scout is the highest. No, don't stand. You're good. Stand. Eagle Scout is the highest achievement of the Boy Scouts of America program. Since its inception, thank you, in 1911, only 4% of Boy Scouts have earned the rank of Eagle Scout. To achieve this rank is no small task. The requirements include earning at least 21 merit badges, and an Eagle Scout must demonstrate Scout spirit, an ideal attitude based upon the Scout oath and law, service, and leadership. This includes an extensive service project that the Scout plans, organizes, leads, and manages. Eagle Scouts are presented with a medal and badge that recognizes this great accomplishment. Alex Laycock is a Wildcat through and through, having started and spent his entire elementary school career here in Woodland District 50. Woodland students are exposed to a variety of after-school activities that help them find their niche in the world, and we are so grateful tonight that Alex found his niche in scouting, working his way up through the rank of Eagle Scout. For his project, Alex chose to raise money to purchase materials for a wheelchair-accessible picnic table at our intermediate school. In addition to making a new table for all of our students to enjoy the playground and outdoors, he also refinished the existing tables out there by sanding and repairing them. Alex, we want to thank you very much for your initiative, and we applaud your efforts to include all of our students in this playground area. During our strategic planning process, of which lots of people in this room were part, one of our outcomes proposed is for the playgrounds at all of our schools to be more equitable for all of our students, and your project provides a great jumping-off point to achieve these goals. Congratulations on your rank of Eagle Scout. To acknowledge your achievement, the district has a certificate of appreciation for you, and congratulations on your efforts. And the floor is yours.
Slaycock. My project was a wheelchair accessible picnic bench and also refurbishing the previous picnic benches that were here. That's what one of the picnic benches looked like before I started. It was it had a bent seat, so we bent it back and sanded it down and repainted it. Here was some of the pictures of the process. It was me and my friends in scouting. Here are some of the final products of the work, and then special thanks to my Aunt Laurel Woodridge, the president of the intermediate school, Mr. Sheldon. And Mr. John Fuhrer. And thank you for helping me receive the rank of Eagle Scout.
Any questions, board members? Thank you. Dr. Machek?
And thanks again, Alex, and thanks for being with us tonight. And certainly our final presentation for my report. We have a group of students from the middle school who are here to talk about a wonderful new program that one of our teachers, Jennifer Summers Lemoyne, has started. Black History is American History. And I am thrilled that all the many ways that Woodland and the Gurnee community and Woodland community have celebrated Black History Month. To highlight this wonderful new program and the great students in it, I'd like to introduce our middle school principal, Tiffany Drake.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Machek.
You have a presentation?
Yes, we do have a presentation. Mrs. Summers, would you please come up? All right, we have a presentation for you all. All right. So Mrs. Summers and I, have been together for quite a long time. Yes, we have. And so we have been trying to figure out how we could have a group of students to really have leaders, a Black student leader group, and we were trying to figure out for years how we could do this. And we've done some equity work, and we were talking about some groups, and we could do it. And COVID sort of stopped us from that, and we said we wanted to really put that into action. And so we worked together, and we were trying to figure out how we can actually pull it off. And this year, we said we were actually going to figure out how to do it. And so Jennifer, as great as she is, said, I have the time, although you don't have the time, and she put that effort into doing it. But Leaders in Action, we thought about it and how we can do it. And the Black Student Leaders Club, we thought about how we can do that, and we thought about it, and we wanted it to be a club that provides a safe, respectful environment in which students can ask questions, learn, grow, and connect with each other. Most importantly, we wanted to aim to empower the students to become leaders and role models within their school and community. We also wanted to think about the 5 pillars that was important to us as we taught them leadership skills. Education, we wanted to, obviously, that's important, right? As leaders that we are, as educators, but also outreach, representation, civic engagement, and economic empowerment. I'm going to give this over to you about the monthly meetings. You want me to talk about that? Okay. All right, so monthly meetings. So when we thought about it, what were some of the things that we were kind of thinking about? What were we going to talk to the kids about monthly? Really sitting down and what we're going to think about. Really talking about our own histories, culture, and communities. But also learning more about prominent Black historical and local leaders, but also learn about diverse populations and how have we made contributions to civil rights, but also to raise cultural awareness, to promote positive images of Black students, and to build relationships. But also, how can we, within our buildings, I know that I don't have that, but to just be within our building to promote cultural awareness within our building and to be positive role models in the building.
So this being the first school year, the students here who will come up in a moment, they are very understanding that this is the first year I'm doing this. They know I'm here for them no matter what. They're very flexible on the scheduling, because originally we started maybe once or twice a month, but because they needed more than just that, I rearranged some of my scheduling after school to provide almost every week. So when we do meet, you know, it's a safe space. We meet in one room, and I remind everybody we're here for each other as support system, and whatever is said in this room stays here unless it's a safety concern that I need to take care of. I also remind them that they need to identify at least one staff member on their team or throughout the building that they trust, that they can go to, whether they're having a great day or a bad day. They need to be self-aware of their leadership styles, whether it's, you know, a good thing. For example, public speaking. They might not be comfortable with public speaking. That's okay. We're going to work on those skills. A lot of them had the opportunity to do the Pledge of Allegiance in the morning, or help out with the announcements, or reading some facts for the month, especially for Black History Month. And some of them also had the opportunity to help out with the food drive this past winter. And we're looking into more community service projects, and they're also doing that too, even outside of the school. And we're gathering information from our local parents, even Black leaders and community members that we had networked with, because I've had a lot of parents reach out to me because of their students, their children, which is great. So moving forward, we want to continue what we're already doing, but we also want to take the opportunity to tour all the College of Lake County's campuses, because there are a lot of buildings. There's a lot of opportunity for them to start now thinking about their future. We want guest speakers, maybe like once a quarter, if not just for our club, but also for our entire building. Our staff needs to have guest speakers as well. We want more community service projects, and then we also want more networking opportunities. Like I said before, there's a lot of parents and even substitute teachers that have reached out to me, or even to the students, that they want to make those connections and help us get our leaders within our building and to grow more outside of the school network as well.
And before I get to that, to the students, but just one of the things I've had a parent to talk about, well, can my child join Black student leaders and they're not Black? And I said, you know what? Yes. Because I'd like for your child to come and learn from our students, and we can all learn from each other. And so if you would like for your child to come and learn from all students, then yes. So let's do that. And so we've had some opportunities to be able to learn from others, and so it was an opportunity for that parent to have their child come and learn from other students. So, but now what we're going to do is do some Black history moments. Our students are going to present to you. Our students are going to introduce themselves and then give a little Black history lesson to you. All right, students, why don't you come on up? All right, students, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do this, because we're going to spread out. No, but we're going to go through this. And then you're going to present to the board. We're going to talk to them. Come over here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Corbin Alfred Cook. I am Black History. Miles Davis III is a famous American trumpet player, band leader, and composer. When I grow up, I want to be a famous musician just like him, because I love to sing, and I play trumpet in the Woodland Middle School band. I am also in the Woodland Middle School choir, and I will be one of the greats one day. When I was scrolling through my phone one day, I saw this really great quote, and it was stated by Muhammad Ali, and it says, "Champions are not made at the gym. Champions are made from something they have deep inside them. A dream, a desire, a vision." I am powerful, and I am Black history.
Hi, my name is Fode Cham, and I am Black history. Jimi Hendrix is one of my favorite musicians. At one point, he was the highest paid musician in the entire world and changed the music scene forever. When I grow up, I want to be a professional musician just like him and a great guitarist. To aspire towards my goal, I'm playing local gigs in Chicago, and I'm boosting my confidence and my social skills in this very club. My name is Fode, and I'm Black history.
Hi everyone, my name is Audrielle Cunningham and I am Black history. Did you know that Ann Cole was the first African American to become a noted fashion designer? When I grow up, I'm going to be a fashion designer as well.
Hi, my name is Ian Morgan. I am Black history. Did you know that George Washington Carver encouragement of crop rotation improved soil conditions for peanuts? He discovered 300 uses for peanuts. I want to be a math teacher when I grow up because I am good at math. I am Black history.
My name is Carter Davis. I am Black history. Kobe Bryant is my favorite NBA player because he won 5 NBA championships. He helped out the community, and he wrote a lot of books. I aspire to be like Kobe. I'm part of the Woodland basketball team and other teams. I'm already helping out the community. I am Black history.
My name is Kamaria Anderson, and I am Black history. James Durham was the first African American doctor in the U.S.
Wait, yeah.
Can you start over, please?
My name is Kamaria Anderson. I am Black history. James Durham was the first African American to be a doctor in the U.S. I aspire to work in the medical field as an OB/GYN. Currently, I am focusing on getting the grades in school, so when I reach college, I'm successful. And in college, I hope to be in a sorority group and be an AKA. I am Black history.
Hi, my name is Serenity Henry, and I am currently in the 6th grade. I am Black history. The person I will be talking about today is Nina Simone. She was an American singer who created urgent emotional intensity by singing songs of love, protest, and Black empowerment in a dramatic style with a rough edge voice. I also sing in choir, and I recently made the talent show. I am Black history.
Hi, my name is Nia Morgan. I am Black history. Ketanji Brown Jackson is my hero because she got to be the first Black woman appointed into the Supreme Court last year. When I grow up, I aspire to be a powerful lawyer to bring justice to the people. I'm getting leadership skills in this group, and I am focusing on my grades to get into law school. I am Black history.
So, I might be a little teary-eyed right now because I am very proud of these students right now. You guys are awesome, and you've done a great job. I am proud of you. So thank you very much for being great leaders and being a positive role model in Woodland Middle School. So thank you for the work that you do every day. Thank you, parents, for the work that you do, for making sure that they are great leaders, and the work that they aspire to do and making sure that they do what they do. So thank you. Yes. All right, so here are your certificates. Corbin, this is you. Bode. Ian. Carter. Nia. Kamaria. Serenity. Thank you, everybody. Great job.
Stand up, students, stand up, don't leave. When you present before the board, you have to give the board a chance to see if they have questions, right? So stand there a minute, and I'll say, board members, are there any questions or comments?
Well, now I got it. I got to have a question. What do you like best about this? What do you like best about your club? Yeah.
Things you get out of it changes you and makes you a better person.
Yeah. Can you just tell me one thing that comes to mind when you say that?
Definitely confidence, you know, you're able to trust the people in the group and really get to know them.
I kind of want to boost what he said. It does feel nice to be around other people that you know are like you, and you will not be judged around, and that you can speak freely with. You can work on different homework with. If you have questions on, you can always ask them. And you know that if you miss a day, it's okay because they will feel you.
Get to be with each other. Yeah. Great.
Other questions? Okay, I do have a comment. First of all, I think you all did an excellent job. Thank you for coming before the board and presenting. Next year, when you do this, I want to hear you really project those voices out there. I didn't want to stop you because I know you were nervous. It's your first time. But next year will be your second time, so I really wanted you to project those voices so the people on the that are listening at home, that they're able to hear you too. But otherwise, you did a great job, and thank you so much. Anything further?
Nope, we're done.
You're
Thank
good?
you.
Okay, thanks. You guys want to take a stretch break?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming in, bringing your kids.
Should have gotten 2 seasons. First thing at 7.
Carla, I'm going to leave these here for you. Oh, these are all the signatures tonight. Okay.
You're doing pictures?
Are we doing pictures? Dress for pictures. Oh, okay. We can, are they there? We can do pictures. Where's Joe?
Thank you for coming.
Do we have cookies for the kids?
They're on the table.
Oh, good. Okay. Great job. Good to see you. Oh, good to see you again. How are you doing? Good. Which one was your kid? The first one. Really? Okay. I like the this one. Yeah. Very fun. Very impressive. Yeah. Thank you.
Anna and Renee, we're taking a few pictures with the group, so.
We're what?
Laura?
the same. Okay. That was nice.
Very nice, thank you. Great job. Yeah. You did the right thing. Some statements we haven't had in a long time. Diversity. Okay. Can you read this one? I know,
We'll just have it delivered about 9. About 9 when we go back and close.
Yeah.
Think about 9 o'clock.
No, he said I could eat a pizza right now. I'm like, well, let's order one and have him bring it about 9.
Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I didn't have dinner. Okay, so we are back. Chris is here. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Next up, we have citizen statements. We have several people signed up, so we'll go in order of the sign up. We'll start first with Andrea Little. Those of you that are giving citizen statements tonight, when you come forward, please state your name and your affiliation with the district, and we'll give you 3 minutes each to speak.
All right, it's funny, I do this every day, but I'm a little nervous. I'm Andrea Little, so thank you for entertaining my statement. I've been working for the district. I'm a music teacher at Intermediate, and I've been working in the district for 16 years here at Woodland, with a total of 24 years teaching experience, and I hold my national board certification in vocal music as well. So I emailed you guys a statement, but I wanted to read it because it's really important to us over at Intermediate. So I'm just going to, Laura said she wouldn't start my timer yet. I did want to do a little plug. I'm wearing my shirt today. The Intermediate students will be performing Honk Jr. next week, Story of the Ugly Duckling. So if anyone's free at 7 o'clock on Thursday or Friday, come on over. Or all day Wednesday, we're doing 3 in-school assemblies. So stop by and see the kids perform.
Can you make sure you send us an email on that one?
Yeah, Brooke has all of that, but I could do it to all of you guys
Okay.
as well. Happy
Thank
to.
you.
We'd love to have you come. All right, so this is a request to reinstate an equitable choir program in the school day. The Intermediate music teachers are respectfully requesting that building and district administration consider adding the Intermediate choir program back into the school day by reassigning our additional planned time to serve this purpose. This addition would maintain the 3rd music teacher's position at Intermediate and result in equitable access to choir for all students, while providing an additional social, emotional, and academic experience for students at recess time. Historically, all students were invited to participate in choir during the school day since the inception of the building through FY18. The students were allowed to participate in choir initially during a flex time, academic flex, and then later in during recess time. And throughout these years, the music teachers taught a full-time schedule and directed these choirs as well. In the height of the program, more than 400 students were singing annually in these choir programs. They're working as a team, thinking creatively, interacting positively with their peers, all while strengthening their intellect and filling Woodland community with music. In FY19, the 3rd grade dual program moved over to our building, and this shift required the building schedule to be changed to accommodate them. Unfortunately, one of the unintended consequences was the new schedule was the loss of our recess choir program because we, as music teachers, were no longer available during the recess time. However, we worked together with administration and moved it to a before and after school intramural program. Presently, as an intramural program, about 25 to 60 students participate in the choir every year, each of 2 to 3 8-week sessions. And in order to participate, children must be dropped off in the morning, or if we do it after school, picked up late. However, we now have an after-school activity bus, which is great. So if we do it after school, students can be driven home, and we're utilizing that for the musical. So we're very thankful to have that. However, that still prohibits, because of family schedules, transportation, economics, and many other factors, that still prohibits a large number, hundreds of students from participating in this program. Thankfully, the 5th grade band program still has the students all have equal access because it's within our school day. Intermediate is not a drop-off like middle. All of our band students have band at recess and throughout the day. So any student is allowed to do that, and we even have financial assistance if they require that as well for band. Since returning to post-COVID, or since COVID, students are in need of even more social and emotional support outlets. The choir program is a safe, supportive community of students who work hard to accomplish a goal in a positive environment. Recess is also a common time for students.
I don't want to interrupt. We've reached the 3 minutes if you want.
Okay, we'll let you wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oftentimes, it's the recess time that exhibits poor behavior from students. Therefore, why not have another positive outlet for them to do during recess? So we're hoping that we can put the choir program back, maintain the third position of our music staff so we can make this possible. And I hope that this can have a positive impact on our program and our Woodland community for years and years to come.
Thank you. Okay.
Next up, we have Anjanetta Friesen.
And when you come forward, please state your name and your affiliation with the district.
Anjanetta Friesen. I'm a parent in the district. I have a daughter that is in elementary now. So I am here for the same reason that I was here about 2 months ago about diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was a comment made today that the district was proud and excited about the work that was done as it relates to Black History Month. Me as a Black parent, I'm not. I think we can do more, and I think we should be doing more. So again, there's a couple of parents that are listening in. They weren't able to make it in. So we would like to definitely leverage all of our collective experiences and expertise to try to help bring solutions so that we can see more inclusion and representation, not just during Black History, because the work and the accomplishments and the achievements of people of color should be talked about and integrated every day. So that is why I'm here. I did have a very productive meeting this morning with my principal at my daughter's school, and so we do have a path forward and some action items, but I would like to see more done at the district level. My second comment is about International Night. So I did learn that International Night was hosted by the PTO. So I was one of 2 Black parents that participated. And my comment and my feedback to PTO, and I will give it to them now that I know that they're there, is that I felt some type of way to come in and find out that my table and the only other Black table was kind of off by itself. So we are a district of inclusion, but I really didn't see that represented that night. It probably wasn't intentional, right? They probably thought, let's group the African, countries together, the European countries, the Indian countries. But again, we're a melting pot in this district. So it would have been nice for my table mate to be a different culture or a family that I can meet, relate to, talk to, that I don't see day to day. So that is some feedback. And I appreciate if somebody could follow up with me, because nobody followed up from my last visit. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Joseph Ballet. Please come forward. Tell us your name and your affiliation with the district, please.
Good evening. My name is Joseph Bilas. I'm a resident of the community. I live on North Summerfields Drive. We stand here tonight sharing the same value. a high-quality education for every student. However, we also stand here tonight at a time when this value is being silently challenged, imperiled by a proposal to build a Casey's convenience store on the corner of Hun Club and Gages Lake Road. This store has the potential to sell tobacco and alcohol products 1,400 feet from both Woodland Primary and Elementary schools, not to mention Warren Township High School less than a mile from the corner. This puts the well-being of every student and the promise of a high-quality education for every student at risk. In a 2019 letter sent from the FDA to Casey's, the FDA outlined Casey's irresponsible business practices, practices which do pose a danger to this school district. More specifically, this letter contained the violation rate for the number of times that Casey's illegally sold tobacco products to kids. That violation rate was 26%. This means that out of 100 minors walking into Casey's with an intent to purchase tobacco, 26 are walking out with it for themselves and their friends. And this is 1,400 feet from a Woodlands primary and elementary schools, less than a mile from a high school. We must understand that when kids go from social studies to cigarettes, from ink pens to vape pens, it's not because the state government rolled back restrictions, it's because the decisions made on the local levels of government inadvertently and unknowingly put children at risk. But now we have the studies, we have the data, we know the risks, and we have a chance to stop this. So in a democracy, the most powerful tool that we the people have is our voice. And so as I'm using mine to raise awareness tonight, I'm asking you to do the same, to spread the message so that every Woodland family has an opportunity to understand this issue and voice their concerns with the Mayor of Gurnee as well as the Village Board of Trustees, who ultimately have the final say in this project. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes our citizen statements. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second. Is there any discussion? Roll call vote.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Renee?
Renee? We
Yes.
may have, okay.
Corey? Anna? Anna?
Anna? We may have lost Anna.
Okay, Brianna?
Yes.
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. Next up, action items. Can I get a motion to approve the FY24 staffing plan consisting of an increase of 17 staff members as presented?
So moved.
Second. Got a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just in the past 6 years as we've done staffing plans, one of the things that has always been a priority for the board is that we remain open-minded as things change and as needs arise over the course of the time between staffing plans and votes, and with a sensitivity towards any changes that are made. And I just want to reiterate that. I think that that's important, for both for us to remember and for the community and administration to know that in between staffing plans, things can change. That's all.
Anything further? Okay, roll call vote.
Renee?
Yes.
Corey? Anna? Brianna?
Yes.
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Next up, we have the award of middle school roof phase 3. Can I get a motion to approve the award of the middle school partial roof replacement contract, including both bid alternatives to the lowest responsible bidder, Bennett and Brousseau Roofing, Inc., having a complete bid package of $2,438,030 for the total project?
Yeah, so moved.
Second.
Second.
Got a first and a second. Lizzie, second. Discussion.
Seemed like yesterday, phase one was here. So this is phase three. It's a large project, large roof. They needed a lot of time to complete it. We received 4 bids. They were all packaged fairly tightly together. So we know that Bennett was one of our, well, they've actually done phase one and phase two. They've done excellent work. So we're happy with Bennett coming in. And we're happy with the price.
Oh, great. Anything further? No? Okay. Hearing none. Roll call vote.
Corey? Anna? Brianna?
Yes.
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that concludes the action items. Let's move on to reports and discussions. We have a written report in our packet as well as a presentation from Dr. Kiefer, Director of Teaching and Learning, on the Advanced Academic Program Audit. So, I think I have to stand up for that one.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Kiefer. I'm the Director of Teaching and Learning, and I'm here to talk to you about the Advanced Academics Audit results we got last September. Okay, so we worked with last winter, about January, February, with Northwestern Center for Talent Development, and they come in and they do a full program evaluation, and they align what we do with the pre-K through 12 gifted standards. In further discussions, we talked to them. We wanted to make sure this was done through an equity lens, and we really want to work on identifying students with the program that are much more diverse than we currently have right now. We also want to look at services provided for our students and what that looks like and how we can make those improvements. Okay, so why do this? A number of reasons why. Obviously, Woodlands is looking at making our programs much more diverse, identifying those students in different ways. We want to make sure our students' needs are definitely being met. We want to learn from parents and from staff and from students what their values are. And it does also serve as a baseline to make improvements as we move forward. Okay, how was it conducted? We basically looked at 4 main elements. We looked at online surveys of parents, staff, admin, and students. We looked at focus groups from 4 different areas. They did about 15 classroom observations, and unfortunately it was a very bad time of the year. It was middle to the end of May, so we'd like to actually have them come back and do it again in the future. And then we also had them do a document review, looking at policies, parent letters, a review of our webpage, and looking at demographics. So it does confirm a lot of things we're doing well. I'm not going to read all of it for you, but for example, we do have an entrance and exit process, but we do have to make it a lot more clear to parents. We do screen students every single year. They don't have to qualify every year, and we have multiple measures and pathways for kids to enter our program. So some areas of improvement. So they identified 5 goal areas. And I want to tell you the presentation and the report was very meaty. It was about 25, 30 pages long. So as an overview, we definitely need to work on communication for parents and also our staff as well too. And making sure we identify the philosophy and goals and program expectations. We need to make our information on our website a lot more clear for parents so they know how their students can get access to the services. We definitely need to expand how we select students for the program to make it much more diverse. And it doesn't start in spring or 2nd grade. It starts when the kids are in kindergarten, to making sure all kids have access to a rigorous curriculum to get those exemplary chances to show what they know. We do have a pretty good representation of dual language students in our program that does match it. However, we really need to look for other ways to identify our students who are learning a different language right now. Again, going back to the core curriculum, we have to make sure all teachers at every single grade level provide access to a rigorous curriculum to make sure that students can show what they know before they even get into the advanced program, which starts in 3rd grade. And goal number 5 is professional development and training staff. Admin, as well as teachers, need to know more about our program, how they can talk to parents about getting their students into the program, and we're starting that this spring. All right, so we've done a lot so far. So we did get a copy of the report back in the summertime. We met with Northwestern in September, and we've been working on different things here and there up to this point. So we did give a copy to all the advanced academic teachers. We met with them, talked through it, talked through some different options. The biggest thing we're going to try, we're going to pilot, is moving away from really solely looking at test scores. I wasn't really a good test taker in school either, so I totally get that. So we're going to use the test scores, and we're going to add more student learning profiles. Because we have a lot of kids who do really well in our challenge and advanced program, who don't really score what we're looking for, and so we have to broaden how we get kids into our program. I worked with the technology department. We have a structure in place to have something going public for parents in August. So we're going to work on that to make sure our processes are much more clear. I've been working with Brooke as well too to make sure the audit information is available for parents. And I took all the documents, aligned them to their findings, and making sure they meet national standards. And then coming up, we have a big meeting on June 21st with the advanced academic team. It's a full-day meeting. We also have a group of diverse parents working with us to make sure what we're doing makes sense to them. We're going to fine-tune and create our philosophy, review goals, work on our website as well too. We're also going to spend some time this spring to communicate information out to staff to make sure they know what's going on. We're going to provide PD and training for staff to make sure they know what the program is all about. And then we're going to work with the dual language team to make sure we have enough of those students in our program as well as ELL students. And the big one really is that last bullet point. We have to start in kindergarten to find ways to make sure every single student has access to a challenging curriculum. It's a very brief snapshot. Any questions?
Board members, questions, comments?
When is the pilot going to start with this?
It's starting actually right now. We're
Okay.
meeting with all the individual teachers to create those different learning profiles, and we're going to test it out in the spring during this identification season.
Other questions? Thank you. Oh, sorry, Joe.
No, that's okay. Thanks. I'm good.
Thank you.
I like his idea. Just clap for her.
Oh, I know. My thing over there. I apologize. I'm catching up. Next up, we have a written report and presentation on the second quarter discipline. Dr. Walls, is that you? Okay, I'm going to grab my paper over there and get out of your way.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
We're going to go ahead and get started. I was here in November doing the quarter one discipline report, so we have some updates for our quarter two, so we'll just jump right in. This is our board policy. It has not changed since we last met, but it's important to keep this front and center as we look at our data. Quarter 1 and 2 referral counts by student. So in the bold box, the box on top, that's quarter 2. Directly underneath, you'll see the percentages and the numbers from quarter 1. So if you look in the furthest most column with the highlighting, you see that overwhelmingly the majority of our students had no major office referrals now in quarters 1 and 2 of this school year. When we
Sorry. Can you go back for a second? So by your boxes. So are you saying primary, major referrals in quarter 2 was 11, and in quarter 1 was 19? Is that how I'm reading? Should read that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it looks like, I guess I'm a little confused. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. Because at middle school, the number of referrals went up in quarter two versus quarter 1.
That's right.
But the percentage went, oh, okay. I see what you're, yeah, it's just the way I was thinking about it. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me.
That was easy.
I appreciate that.
Okay. This table shows our quarter 2 referrals by ethnicity, and we still have some work to do here. But overall, again, if you look at that right column, you'll see the overall percentages of our students in our schools who are earning or who earned disciplinary major disciplinary referrals for quarter 2. Okay, so I'm going to go through the findings on the next slide.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, from that chart, table 2, here are the findings. We are still seeing disproportionate disciplinary practices in 3 of our 4 schools. Quarter 1, it was at all 4 schools. So we are trending in the right direction. We have a lot of work to go. Students who identify as Black or African American receive disproportionate disciplinary measures at 3 schools. In quarter 1, we saw that at all 4 of our schools. Students who identify as Hispanic or Latino receive disproportionate disciplinary measures at 2 of our schools. In quarter 1, we saw it at 3 schools. And for our students who identify as white, there's some disproportionality at 1 school, and there was no change. We see this at the same school for both, saw this at the same school for both quarters 1 and 2.
How do you define disproportionality in these instances?
So, for example, if a school has 30% of their students identify as white, but white students make up 45% of the discipline, right?
And you saw that.
Ideally, we would want to see low discipline across the board, but if we have discipline at all, it should be proportionate with the demographic of student enrolled in that school.
Around definitions of words, a major discipline referral from the slide before. What constitutes a major discipline referral?
Okay. So those could be any of the referrals that we've outlined in our handbook. You know, dangerous behavior, fighting, prohibited items. You know, there are about 13 or 14 offenses that we identify in our handbook that can lead to a major referral.
And the way that a major referral happens is a teacher observes the behavior and then sends the student to the office.
Maybe, or a student is in possession of something and another student observes it and reports it. A student realizes that they have something they shouldn't have, and even though they self-report, it still has the potential to create a dangerous situation or environment. So a number of ways.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we, again, hold up our findings against our board policy. When we did this in November, we agreed that our policy is ethnically neutral, right? We went through that and we talked about, you know, our policy on its face is ethically neutral. So for our strategic planning process, we adopted an equity and inclusion lens. So that's one more filter now for us to hold up our discipline data against. So I do want to just read through the first 4 questions on our equity inclusion lens and look at that through the findings. I will ask the questions. They're not rhetorical, but I'm also not expecting answers. They're really just being posed to take a look at our findings against this tool that we adopted, because we say this is important to us. So the first question, who are the groups affected? How are they impacted? What are the unintended consequences, such as ignoring or worsening existing disparities? Question number 3, which stakeholders are involved in the process? And question number 4, and I'll stop there for this presentation, how are stakeholder voices represented to validate the impact and the unintended consequences? So for number 4, when we talked about we want to look at and listen to stakeholder voice, the Educational Services Department held a student focus group on discipline on the 15th of February. This idea came from a workshop that I attended when we were in DC at the Equity Symposium. And it sounds so obvious, but sometimes we forget to just talk to the students and see what's going on. So we invited students in grades 4 through 8 who had either been assigned an in-school or an out-of-school suspension during either quarter 1 or 2 this school year. And then we also invited student groups such as Student Council, Black Student Leaders, and the National Junior Honor Society to participate in the focus group. We held it on the 15th at middle school. Students were asked to respond to about 12 guided questions using Post-it notes to record their responses. So it's a very similar process that we set up for our strategic planning work. And for the students who didn't attend, they were sent the questions anonymously through a Google form and asked to reply so that we can try to get as much student voice as possible. Why did we do it? Student voice does matter, but may rarely be centered and incorporated into practices, right? We might hear from the students, but what do we do with it after they give us all this goodness about how adults can be different and improve? So this just all ties back into question number 4 on our equity lens, which I just restated here. Here are a couple of pictures of what our focus group work looked like. So like I said, it was very similar to what we did for the strategic plan work, but it was with students. Some of the questions that the students responded to, just as examples, were how do your schools communicate with parents, right? If you need advice or assistance, who do you go to? What motivates you to come to school every day? Those are some of the examples of the questions. Here's a sampling of what our students had to say. 100% of the participants were able to articulate how student behavior is rewarded. 80% of our participants knew how teachers share behavior expectations. 100% of our participants feel connected to friends at school. 67% of our participants are not involved in activities at school. 50% felt that their teachers know them well. And about 33% of our participants, which is not up there, said that they would go to a teacher for advice or assistance. Just 33%. Some quotes from our students. There should be more adult presence in hallways. Good behavior is not praised enough, but bad behavior is reported immediately to parents. Teachers should be held to the same standard as being kind and respectful to their students and being accountable for their actions. Reputation has a lot to do with how you will be received. If you had a bad reputation in a previous grade, you will be targeted. Kids are far more knowledgeable about things that are not talked about. Present new material that students can evolve with. And the example was our ROAR matrix. Some of the students at middle school felt like they've been learning those same rules since second grade, and now they've gone all the way through our school system, and they want to talk and focus more about things that are important to them and that are happening around them. We have the pleasure of having one of our students here tonight who you met a little bit earlier, Bode Cham and his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Cham. Bode participated as one of the students in the focus group. And so I just asked him to share a little bit about that experience and any insight that he wants to leave with us. I did tell him that we have 10 minutes because I could listen to him talk all night, but I do want to invite him to come up now.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the boards. I'm of the board. So basically, I'm just going to review what she said because most of these points here were greatly stressed in the meeting we had on the 15th. Teachers definitely should be held at the same standards. You know, if kids aren't getting the same respect and the same accountability as the teachers, they're not going to feel like they really belong there, you know? And if they don't feel like they belong there, they're not going to want to be there, and they're not going to want to really care about school. And there definitely should be a lot more adult presence in hallways, because when kids are in fights, it takes at least 10 seconds for it to break up. And most kids, there are a lot of kid bystanders during the fight. And they either cheer it on or do absolutely nothing, which I feel like we talked about in previous grades about you don't want to be a bystander in something that's like this. But if there aren't people exemplifying this and putting it into action, what's the point of teaching it, you know? And reputation, definitely. Reputation, if you had, let's say, if you peed your pants in the 5th grade and you came to 6th grade, you know, it's a big step up going from intermediate to middle school. And people are in that transition where they're sort of changing, but they still have the same grudges and same things that they left with in the 5th grade. And if you have that same bad reputation, you're going to get targeted. And like I said, the kids are changing. Their behaviors are going to be a lot different than they were in the 5th grade. So they're going to still have that same kind of grudges and memories, but they're going to change. So they're going to target you. A lot of kids have that problem. And one of the most important things we talked about is how, you know, if you have teachers threaten detentions and demerits and expulsions and stuff, we talk about that all the time. But like our reward for being like good, like, so in my class we have analogies, right? And if you get all the analogies correct, you get a ROAR card. And think of the penalty to reward, you know, if you have, if you say, said a curse word to a kid, you'd get a referral, and that stays on you. I mean, you get 3 in your detention, but if you get a ROAR card, it's picked out of a raffle, so you get a very low chance of actually getting a real reward. And I feel like you should say, good job, you get a good reward, instead of, here, you get a 1 in 1,000 chance of winning some candy. So I just think that kids should feel rewarded for being good. They should feel proud of what they've done and not feel so resentful and bad if they do something at the same level of badness, which is not a word, to goodness. That's really all I have to say here. We talked for a pretty long time in the meeting, and we made some really interesting points.
Thank you,
Cody. close with this slide. In addition to our equity and inclusion lens, we also adopted SMARTY goals. The E in the SMART-T is equitable. And we, as a district, define that as addressing systemic injustice, inequity, or oppression. Equity reduces the predictability of who succeeds and who fails. And as I stated, we have made progress by way of our disproportionate data, but we still have a long way to go. Thank you. If you have questions, I'm here. The principals are here. Fode is here, and we are happy to answer your questions.
Questions, board?
In looking at, well, first of all, thank you so much for what you said. Are you going to be presenting later too? This is great. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I can see it worries you too. Like it worries you. You're thinking about it a lot, and I appreciate you being willing to contribute to the focus group and contribute to tonight and to everything that you're doing. And you keep it up, and we'll do our best for you. I'm looking at the data, and it seems like we have some pretty interesting things that are happening where in intermediate it looks like the number of referrals is a little bit down, and the student count is holding pretty steady. So how do you see that in comparison to the other schools, maybe in terms of things that are going on that might be replicated? Or is that just an anomaly in your...
I think that's an apples to oranges comparison because the schools are so inherently different. I certainly don't, I believe intermediates improvements are intermediates improvements. And I would certainly invite Mr. Sheldon to talk about changes that he's made from quarter 1 to quarter 2 to net those results. But I don't think it's valid to say that why it did or didn't happen at one of our other campuses,
Yeah, sure.
in that way.
I have another one, but
Well,
anybody else have
is
questions?
Mr. Sheldon going to come forward, though, so we can hear his
Would you like to hear?
explanation? I would.
Just
since
if
you
there are
introduced
different
it.
things happening at different schools,
Sure.
it would be great to know if there's something that we can pick up on and replicate. I think that'd be valuable.
I think it'd be valuable.
Yeah. Well, he's here.
Yeah, thanks. So, first of all, I agree with Lene in the sense that I don't know that making the direct comparison is applicable just in terms of even the size of the schools or the nature of the systems. So, and what would work for a child of one age may not work for a child of another age, right? With that being said, we've really tried to improve our fidelity and commitment to PBIS. Kind of speaking to what the young man talked about, really trying to make sure that the rewards are tangible, the rewards are frequent, and that the ratio of praise, right, exceeds the ratio of criticism. And that we're looking to catch our students doing the right thing as much, if not more, than catching them doing the wrong thing, right? And we've just tried to be really intentional about that. We started last year with really looking at our building-wide systems, from everything like how we walk down the hall to, as you guys enjoy very much, like our big incentives at the end of the year, like the video game truck or the limousine ride and those things. But then we have our Roars On store that every student has access to on a biweekly basis, so they can, and we try to the point about asking kids, we do survey our kids about what do you want to see in that store, right? What is going to motivate you to want to do right? And so, that's a big part of it. We recently added a student to our PBIS team. So to make sure that that's not like a one-off thing, but that we have that stakeholder voice. And in my last newsletter, I reached out to ask for parent volunteers as well, right? So a good, rich PBIS team includes people from everywhere, right, and has all those voices. So, and you know, we've had to give constructive criticism and feedback to everyone in the building, right? So that's our students meeting the expectations, but also making sure that all of our staff members are meeting their commitments as well. You know, everything from are we where we are supposed to be in the hallway at dismissal and entry, because when we're not, we notice that there's a problem, right? We have bathroom breaks as a class because we instituted that since I joined, because unfortunately I'd love to be able to send kids individually to the bathroom, but when you have a school of our size, it doesn't seem like much when I, in one classroom, send a child to the bathroom, but then across the building, there's like maybe 20 other teachers doing that at the same time, and those kids might meet up, and it could go well, or it might not, right? And even if nothing bad happened in that moment, it could be the predicate for something that happens later. So we really try to be intentional about even those places and spaces. I'm excited. We're looking at something like with the transportation department. In a couple of weeks, we'll be rolling out a pilot where we're going to use Class Dojo on the buses. So that's an interface where the bus driver will be able to, at the end of the route, just quickly click like, these students were in their seat, these kids were throwing something, right? And the parents will be connected, so they'll get that immediate feedback, right? And I'm hopeful that that will be helpful, because we do see in these places, it's not always the big thing that happens there, but that's the genesis of it. So the bad bus ride today leads to the incident at the cafeteria tomorrow, which then leads to the major problem out at recess the third day, right? And so if we can try to be preventative and proactive to make sure all of those spaces and places are well supervised and well incentivized, then, you know, so much the better. But, you know, we still have work to do as a school in terms of the amount of discipline that we have, as well as the disproportionality. So I certainly don't want to hold ourselves up as the, you know, the brass ring or anything like that. But those are some of the things that we've done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, other questions? I had a question. Looking at the data, and I know we break it down by ethnicity and race, so I'm wondering how it looks when we break it down by socioeconomic status, free and reduced lunch versus not.
Yeah. So we do collect that data. I don't have it with me tonight, and I've chosen not to report it quarter one or quarter two, because I think sometimes when we don't isolate the thing that we want to focus on the most, we have a tendency to start conflating it. Well, the kids who are low SES or who receive free and reduced lunch are the kids who identify as children of color, which is not true. But we sometimes have a tendency to do that. And so if that is something that the board wants to see, the principals do provide it. I can certainly include the SES data in the quarter three report along with the ethnicity data.
I personally think it's a data point, because is there some bias towards low socioeconomic students, especially if you're saying in one building there's disproportionality of white students being disciplined? Is that a socioeconomic factor that's driving that or not? I mean, we don't know because we haven't seen the data. So I think it is important to understand where our biases lie. So, yes, I would recommend to the board that we do see that data.
I will include that in quarter.
And then my other question, when we're looking at these numbers, are these one individual? Are these referrals, several referrals of one, or, you know, one individual with more than one referral? What are these numbers telling? What's the raw data?
Yes, so it counts discrete numbers of incidents. So if you are taking a look at the primary, for example, there were 11 major referrals that were earned by 8 students.
Okay. I was actually looking at table 2.
Yeah, so
Can
to
you-
answer your question, that's
Uh-huh.
on the table prior to that.
Right. But if I'm looking at table 2, when you're breaking it down by ethnicity,
Yes.
knowing that you have more than one person that might have several referrals, how is that accounted for with your percentages in table 2?
I want to make sure I understand the question. So let's take a look at an actual number. Can you choose a school or a row or column, and then I can?
Well, take the primary example.
Sure.
Is that does that number add up to 11 or does it add up to 8 for quarter 2, right?
It's 11.
Right, and the number is 11.
Right, so you're accounting for one student that might have more than one referral because you had 8 individuals but 11 referrals.
Yes.
I think that number has to be broken down to the actual individual in table 2 versus table 1. I get your point in table 1, but I don't think you can carry that over to table 2.
The numbers in
But
green are
in
the student count.
in the red, though, so if you looking at primary, 4 students who identify as Latino or Hispanic had 5 referrals.
Mm-hmm.
You said this is going to go away when this part.
Hey, Renee? Renee?
Yes.
You might want to mute yourself, unless you're talking to us.
I thought I was muted.
It's okay.
And then the same with the white students.
Okay.
So there were two white students who earned 4 referrals.
Okay.
So that's what that red row
Okay.
demonstrates. Black or African American, 1 student, 1 referral. So that kid had 1 incident.
Okay. So how does that, so below that would be the percentage of the population of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the raw number and the percentage that it represents out of that population.
Out of that population, not out of the total population?
Yes, that's correct.
So we want the percentage in blue to be as close as possible to the percentage in green. Is that the overall goal?
No, that's on the other chart, right? Like we want green. Ideally we don't want referrals.
Right. So
Right.
But I mean, as we're looking at this,
walk me through the one.
Okay.
So you
The-
have
the-
one
the-
Asian student, that's 1.2% of the Asian population.
For that referral, right? Because there are 82 kids at primary during quarter 2 who identify as Asian.
Okay.
So Asians make up almost 13% of the population, and an Asian student earned just over 1% of the overall referrals.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to share. I have a fear and a hope with presentations like this. So just to kind of throw it out there to do kind of a grand scheme of things. as a teacher, I hear this, and I know that some folks who I've taught with would hear, don't make discipline referrals anymore. Like, just don't do it. And that would be, I think, learning the wrong lesson. You know, I mean, there's going to be some discipline referrals, right? And so my fear would be, if we're just kind of sending the message that we don't like discipline referrals, period, then that might be a more difficult learning environment for students. My hope is that presentations like this get people to face their biases and really think deeply about them and think more long-term than just that moment of disciplinary infraction, but like building a positive learning environment, getting to know students, building good relationships, right, and laying the foundations so that we don't have discipline infractions in the future, taking care of it like 5-10 steps before it actually happens. I just want to say that out loud because I think it's important, because if the message is just don't send anybody to the office anymore, that's not the right message. But if the message is like, let's really take a look at what we're doing and do it better, I'm on board with.
Sure. I agree with you, Joe, and I assume that is why our board has wanted this presentation throughout the years. It's not a don't write referrals.
No, I don't think it is for you.
Right. It's when we do write them, are we using an equity lens, and is it proportionate with how students show up in our schools, right? It can also be connected to my colleague Dr. Kiefer's presentation. When we talk about our advanced and challenge programming, if 9% of our district identifies as Black or African American, that's who we expect to see in that program as well. And so that's our goal in showing data like this, is that representation matters, and disproportionate representation can be harmful.
Yeah. And are we doing everything we can for a kid along the way? I mean, to Dr. Little's point about socioeconomic status, for kids with for kids coming from poverty, right? I mean, they face a million challenges, and sometimes that leads to needing a lot more services from a school.
Or maybe not,
or not.
Right? Because there are kids from poverty who are gifted and advanced.
Sure.
Are we identifying them at the rate that they make up our total enrollment in our district? Right? And that point is one of the reasons why I wanted to separate that out, because I don't want to say, because a student is a student who comes from a family of poverty, that they automatically have challenges in ways that we cannot see. I know that's not what you said, but I do believe it's very easy to conflate. Sure. And we don't want to do that. We want to talk about the thing that we want to talk about in isolation for all of our students.
But I think you can see, you can conflate that if you're just looking at the number of Black or Hispanic students that would have discipline referrals. You know, somebody who wants to use the information for bad will find a way to use the information for bad. Obviously, we don't want to. We want to be able to look at the information and see if there is bias treatment in the schools, which we have found in the past, and it continues to be an issue. To see what we can do in terms of training for all of our staff, and teachers included, to make sure that they don't, some of their innate biases, they let go of them. So that's kind of the purpose. But also, if we're not properly presenting the data, then we don't know where the fight is. And I just want to make sure we understand where the fight is. In the past in our district, and I know our demographics have changed drastically over the years. Black and Hispanic students weren't necessarily made up the majority of low socioeconomic. I think especially, in this district where you were building a lot of new homes and, you had a lot of new families coming into the district. But now, since most of the homes are mature and the people like me whose kids are out of the district, and I'm sure Lizzie can speak to this too, her kids are out of the district, but then you're pulling from, other areas where that has raised or lowered the socioeconomic for the whole district, for all demographic groups. So I think and we want to make sure that we're properly welcoming and educating all of our students, regardless of their socioeconomic. So if there's a bias, possibly, I think we do have to highlight that, because we want to fix that. We don't want kids coming, whether they're low socioeconomic, English as a second language, whatever the difference is, we want everybody to come and feel welcome, like this is my place. I'm happy here. This is a happy place for me. I'm going to come. I'm going to get education. I'm going to learn. I'm going to enjoy choir and intermediate school during recess. We want that whole child to be fully educated, right? So if we're not
Absolutely.
asking the questions, we're not going to get there. We can't hide the data because we're afraid of it.
I completely agree with you, and I don't believe that is what is happening. I do think that we know our data and we know our data sets. I think this discipline data that has been presented is clear, and I do believe that there are other areas where we may see disproportionate practices that can be highlighted and lifted.
Okay, well, bring it to us next time. I'd
I
love to
will
see it.
include that next time.
Let us know, as a board, what policies we need to enact, what support we need to give, because obviously we want to make sure every kid that comes to our district gets a great education. Not a good education. We want them to get a great education.
Agreed.
But if we don't have the data, we can't do it.
I think this is a good place to start, though. With the
Okay.
data that we do have, we certainly have shown a light on some work that needs to continue, and we will have that additional data for quarter 3.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, next up we have not as exciting conversation, but very important.
Not exciting at all.
We have a written report on the purchase of a middle school dishwasher.
So moved.
All right, on that note, so the dishwasher at the middle school was installed when the middle school was built back in '97. It's been experiencing lots and lots of difficulties, and a big kudos to our maintenance team who's been able to keep it up and running. The problem with the dishwasher from '97 is that parts and pieces are very, very hard to find. And if something more serious were to happen, and it was down for an extended period of time, they wouldn't be able to wash the dishes between the lunch hours, and that leads to unsanitary conditions. And I know this is all boring, but we do need a dishwasher.
It's important. School safety is very important. Health and safety of our
There's
students.
a quote out there. They're not inexpensive by any means. We did apply for the NSLP equipment grant. Grant closed on January 20th. They say expected time frame is about 90 days out. It's a $50,000 grant. We've got money in a secondary grant for $60,000. So if we did get the 50, and we do have the 60, about 110 of the 130 installed would be paid for.
Okay.
Now what?
Let's get that grant.
Yeah. What was the decision on the type that you're proposing? Just the bids, or?
So there's a quote in there for, I forget the exact name, and I had to type the name into the grant.
Federal Supply USA?
Yeah, Federal Supply is they're actually right out of Waukegan. They're the ones that would supply us with it. The manufacturer of the dishwasher, it's Insinger dishwasher. The good thing about the Insinger dishwasher is you don't have to go to Insinger to get the parts and pieces. You can go to any of the major manufacturing places. So if we did have an issue with it, we we wouldn't be at the mercy of the company itself. And at a time like this, when supply chain issues are, a little, it's hard. It's just hard to get some critical supplies. So dishwasher in itself is 4 months out. So we will be requesting approval at the next board meeting to go out and purchase it so we could have a summer install, even though we won't know exactly whether or not we've been approved for the grant. But regardless of whether or not we're approved, we do need that dishwasher.
Okay. Questions?
Mine are purely curiosity. Like, how big is this thing?
This is big.
I mean, I'm looking at the picture.
9,000 dishes.
And I'm like, there's a conveyor speed. I'm like, how do I get one in my
It's 18
house?
feet long.
I was going to say, if you travel to the middle school kitchen, you can see the one that's currently there. And the one that's currently in there was installed with the piping underneath the flooring. So we're toying around with the notion of getting the piping up in the ceiling, because if the piping ever goes bad, you're going to have to tear up the kitchen floor. And it was installed in a manner that it should not have been installed.
Oh, okay. Well, it was, how many years ago?
97.
97, so.
Yep.
It's a long time ago.
Yep.
Coming up on 26 years.
26, 27, if you
Yeah.
count 97 itself, yeah.
That's a long time to keep it.
Oh, yeah.
So that was pretty good.
No, it's done well. And like I said, it's big kudos to the maintenance staff. They're the ones that have been keeping it going. And it's been making our food service vendor nervous for about the last 5 years.
Oh, okay. Okay, any other questions before we move forward to the asphalt replacement memo that's in the board packet? Did you want to say anything about that, or we'll see it? I know we'll see it as a action item.
Yeah, bid is coming in, is it tomorrow? Is it next week? Early next week, we've got the bid results coming in, just as exciting as the dishwasher is pavement. So we've got a plan. South Campus, middle school, intermediate, they all need work. We're trying to get to them best we can. In the meantime, I know intermediate's last on the list, so we're going to look at some maintenance, seal coating and crack filling and restriping, and it'll look lovely. So I know everybody's kind of concerned about the parking lots. We're working on it.
Okay.
Very expensive, though.
I have a question.
Yes.
I have an asphalt question.
Yes.
At the strategic plan meeting, one of the things that we learned was that elementary school can't have a full school event, right? Because the parking lot isn't big enough. Is this a good time to look at that? Or is it not?
A little late for the asphalt replacement, since the bid goes out next week. Parking lots, when you take a look at the overall parking lot, there's a lot that goes into it in terms of expansion and losing green space and getting, would we need the Army Corps of Engineers to come out? Yeah, Army Corps of Engineers would have to come out. Yeah, water management.
Yeah.
And then access roads in and out. I know there was a plan that was theoretically floated where you'd get an expansion of a parking lot and then an access road going out, but I don't think the Illinois Department of Transportation would allow that because the entryways would be too close to one another. We can take a look at it. I'm not saying that we can't take a look at it. I understand, I mean.
Now that before that, you get back part of elementary, that's wetlands, so now you get a whole other group of people that get involved because it's a wetland territory. Then you get land swaps and underground protection systems. You start down there in the press pretty fast.
Parking garage?
If we went down or up and then put solar panels on top.
Hey, good deal. Bingo. Paid for itself. Good conversation. What's next?
Or couldn't we, and we're getting off track, but couldn't we do like shuttle buses in that situation if you wanted to have a whole
So,
school event?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Woolberg. People park across the street and along the street and down the street and everywhere, correct?
Yeah, we've had, I'm trying to think of the last big event. It was the parties, and so we end up taking down Gages Lake Road. Sorry. We end up going down Gages Lake Road. They're on both sides there. In the parking lot itself, we make up parking along the edges. Sometimes they do park over at Primary, but then that takes away from her parking, and then Miss Anderson's parking, sorry. And then also the interference with the buses. There's a lot of moving parts with the shuttles. Can we do it? Yes, but it obviously, it's difficult.
Yeah, I was thinking after school, more like evening.
Evening events?
Events, not during the day, but.
We could. I think when you look at, to be perfectly honest, when we're trying to invite in the public, though, and, you know, coming to the local school to come to, let's say, a PBIS bingo night, right? And, you know, you need to park at a satellite location to get shuttled over. Unfortunately, I do think that would deter some people from going away. It's certainly something we can investigate, we can look into for the future. But as of right now, it's just one grade level at a time is really about the maximum we can do at one given time, using our parking lot, even trying to take some of Mrs. Anderson's, because my staff also has to park in the rear of the building. And the layout, and it has nothing to do with anybody in this room, it has everything to do with just how we have it laid out. This current juncture.
I say not that this would make a tremendous difference, but we've been looking at how to stripe it, the angled versus.
Yep.
So we're looking to add some spots, but it's not going to take care of up and down Gages Lake Road.
No, it's like, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's also the way we have it split, with where the new office is going to be, and then we have the parking spots along the one side, but we will gain some here, but then on in front of the new, where our office is now, but then we're going to take those spots and we're going to have to move additional handicapped and visitor parking in this front, so it's going to be kind of a flip, a tit for tat, if you will.
And that'll be a part of the new asphalt, these changes?
So the asphalt bid itself is going to be, it's partial primary school and partial elementary school. The front lot that Mr. Wolberg's talking about is not scheduled for until next year.
Oh, okay.
Because the rear is the area where they're seeing some significant damage.
Oh, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, next up we have the revised board policies in your packet. These were reviewed by the policy committee last week. They were pretty much standard updates. I can't think of anything to draw your attention to. Did I miss anything?
No.
Anything that you all wanted to highlight that's on the policy committee? Otherwise, they're standard updates, and we'll bring them back for a vote at the next board meeting.
I had two. There was a question in green in 660 that said, "Do we do this?" And I'm curious if that was answered, and it was the commemoration of the signing of the Constitution. Number 11.
Oh, yeah, I see that. I'm guessing that was a question for Steve Thomas's group? Do you know if that was addressed, Dr. Maychek?
I don't. Dr. Kiefer, are you aware, do we identify, or do we do something with Constitution Day in our curriculum?
I have to look into that.
Okay. Why don't you get back to us, and then we may, if we don't have an answer, we may have to pull it but we should be able to get an answer by next month, correct?
Of course.
Okay, okay.
And then the other one was 6280. Just a curiosity question. Why was the entire section about reporting grades deleted? At the end of the policy?
Are you talking about the second paragraph, or?
On page 2 of 2.
On page 2.
Oh, page 2.
Yeah, the
Okay.
Board of Education believes it is the district's obligation to give private periodic reports of students like that whole, I was just curious as to the rationale of why.
It was in,
deleted.
it was just in press. I think, let's see, it may have been addressed up front too. Makes the change. I think it may have been.
I mean, I'm not seeing anything in this policy that overrides that, so I guess it's more a question of, do we still want that as a policy if it's not somewhere else?
What are your thoughts? Did you have a preference?
I mean, I think it's kind of nice that it is a policy, so everybody knows that it is expected, but I don't know the rationale for having put it in the first place.
I think, some of the language, I think, runs contrary to the direction we're headed in terms of a standards-based system. We're talking about, grading maybe based on judgment of the teacher or capability of the student. Sounds very antiquated to me. And it also says that, we've stricken it, but it also says that grading will be, grades will be given 4 times a year, which, if we move to a different, system, or it's somewhere down the road, if we're doing trimesters, let's say, well, then that's not 4 times a year. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
I can follow up with Dr. Thomas, because we have to ask him about the other one and find out.
Okay. Like I said, I don't know the rationale why it was ever put in.
I will follow up on
so-
both of those with him, so thank you.
Anything further? Okay, hearing none, we will move forward to, there are no FOIA requests for the month of February. So we'll move on to board improvements and operations. There is an IASB spring dinner scheduled for March 8th. I did tell you, Laura, at the last meeting that I was planning to attend that. You don't have me listed as interested in attending. Is there anyone else that's interested in attending the IASB spring dinner on March 8th at 6 p.m.? The speaker is Dr. Courtney Orzai, Associate Director of Professional Development at IASA, who will be sharing information on the topic of telling your district story while building a strong community through effective board/superintendent relationships. Okay, if you are still thinking about it, let Laura know by March 2nd. Next up, we have the Equity Symposium and Advocacy Institute that several of us attended on back in January. I think this was a great year that several of the equity leaders in the district also attended the Equity Symposium. Would anybody like to share their experience with that? I know Dr. Walls talked about some of the things she learned and has already started to put into practice. So great job there. I'm sorry.
No,
go
I was
ahead.
just going to say, and Dr. Walls mentioned this, but there was a consistent theme whether it was a policy group or curriculum, it was about incorporating student voice into decision making, or and again, it sounds like common sense, but lots of times we take it for granted. And even like with the one session in terms of curriculum adoption, inviting a group of students in to even engage with the materials. And is this something you want to read, or do you see yourself in these pages, or are there stories about people like you that you would want to read about, for example, in a social studies text or whatever? And it was just really interesting to see all the different ways that district leadership and board members were incorporating students to really strengthen the programs that they were presenting about. And certainly something that we need to do more of.
I believe I was the only one that attended the Advocacy Institute. There was a lot of talk about the national debt, and they gave us information on the priorities of the Biden administration, as well as priorities of the House Republicans, the House Democrats, the Senate Republicans, and the Senate Democrats. So we worked in small groups to, think about some of those issues and how we can advocate based on our boards and districts' needs with the various groups. So I found that very helpful. Obviously, they gave us tips on how to engage with our federally elected officials. One of the things that they were really kind of focused on too were programs that produce future leaders, future teachers. So Educators Rising was one of the presentations that they gave. It's a program that starts in middle school. It used to be called Future Teachers of America, and there's $400,000 set aside for this program. And one of the things I learned is that Illinois State is considering allowing Educators Rising members to use high school Ed Rising experience to count. So if they're a part of Education Rising in high school, they can use that to count for their first year of college classes. So I found that interesting. Some other workshops, there were, how they do, there's so many workshops. Another one I went to talked about digital equity. And so they gave a presentation on digital equity. And one of the things that I have followed up on with some of our elected officials at the state level. So the federal government has given all this money to states to come up with a digital equity plan. It's up to states to come up with the plan. So it's really trying to understand how the state of Illinois' plan and how they're going to push that money out to school districts and other sources. Have not found an answer yet to that. But I did learn that the Lake County Board also has a digital equity plan. So I was given a name on who to talk to there, but that sounds like a separate plan from the federal dollars that have been pushed out. So I think it would be helpful for us to understand where that money's going and how it's going to impact our district and our students. They talked about, there's a workforce component of it, fiber optics technicians, for example. There's a minimum age of 16, and the starting salary is $50,000. So they were talking about, different work, part of that workforce development, how we can kind of educate our kids for the future and getting more involved with those kind of fields. And apparently there's going to be money set aside for it. So I thought that was interesting, but more information is, I think we need to figure out on that. A lot of talk about chronic absenteeism, so I was hitting up Dr. Walls and Dr. Maycheck during that presentation to see what our chronic if we had a problem with chronic absenteeism based on that. And then there's a series of questions that we had to address, and I gotten the answers from our administrators on those. It was information that we needed to provide, or sort of talking points that we would use when we go discuss our district on the Hill. I think the big disappointment, and I had talked to other districts, there were several Illinois school districts, mostly centered around the Chicago area, that attended because, as you all know, IASB is no longer part of NSBA, but the Chicago Collier counties districts still show up in good numbers. And they were saying that they were disappointed that IASB didn't really support our advocacy for this. So I did talk with Zach Messersmith from IASB and just kind of shared that information with him, as well as some other districts had already talked to him about it. And so I think we're going to put more pressure on, collectively, on IASB advocacy group to still support us when we go to DC, because there's no other alternative. So, so that was that. Do you guys have any questions on equity or advocacy? Okay. Then, are there any? There's 3 letters of correspondence to the board this month. Are there any questions about the responses? Okay. And are there any other citizen statements that have come through? Nope. We do have a reason to return to closed session. It's not quite 9:30, so we'll go ahead and return to, can I get a motion to enter into closed session?
So moved.
Second. Well, you have to tell the
I
reason
move
why we're
that
going into close.
we open my board book again and return to closed session to discuss the employment, appointment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, security procedures, and the use of personnel and equipment to respond. Wait a second, I'm on the wrong one. I'm sorry, folks, I clicked on the wrong thing. I gotta start that over. Okay, try this again. Yeah, okay. Move to enter into closed session, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body, including hearing testimony on complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity, and discussion of minutes of meetings lawfully closed under the Act, whether for purposes of approval by the board of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call vote.
Anna? Brianna?
Yes.
Carla?
Aye.
Joe?
Yes.
Lizzie?
Yes.
Renee?
Yes.
Corey? Motion carries 5-0. 5-2, I'm sorry. 5-0. 5-0.
It's late.
Thanks, everybody. I just watch.
Good night. Okay, we'll take a